all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content.
Hey, yes, she is me and I am she. I've dated a red pill podcast guy, and when I tell you, it damn near destroyed me. It is a disastrous thing in our community, and we really need to talk about it.
What is going on with the way men are talking to women these days?
If she's not good looking and she can't perform what I want to perform, then she's not.
Oh dear, where do we begin with this one?
I was thinking about this last night, but genuinely, what is the end goal for young men who consume red pill content?
So I lost a boyfriend and my brother to red pill content for basically the same reason.
Not many people like to talk about this, but I genuinely feel like red pill is the most stupidest thing out here. Like, just because you can't get any girls doesn't mean you gotta resort to hating women.
What's up, everyone? Today we're talking about something that's affecting way too many relationships right now, how red pill content is actually causing men to lose the women in their lives. I'm seeing guys think they're leveling up, but instead they're pushing away girlfriends, female friends, even family members. If you've noticed this happening around you, or you're wondering why certain online advice might be backfiring, this video is for you. We're diving deep into what's really going on, and why the opposite of what's being promised is actually happening. Let's get into it.
Being a gentleman and being super nice and, being caring makes you more attractive to women, but the reality is, attraction and arousal are two different things. And by being a nice guy, what ends up happening a lot of times is you get stuck in the friend zone. And what I tell guys, and I talk about this in my book, guys gotta give women less. If you look at the cover,
guys gotta give
I have money there,
less,
relationships, social media, and time. And the reason for that is because we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace. And what that basically means is, assuming two parties are have the age of consent, anyone could hook up. Now, we thought this would be a good idea in the 60s with the explosion of feminism and birth control, etc. But what ended up happening was, when you leave women to their own devices, they date the best guys that they can get. And that problem's been exacerbated as they become more educated and made more money. So it's left a lot of normal guys out of the realm. So what I tell guys is, you need a woman that's gonna reciprocate that attention, because we're in a position now where they have all the leverage, and a lot of guys are over here courting and dealing with women that quite frankly don't deserve it. So when I say women deserve less, there's other aspects too, but that's what I mean, as in like dating. Don't simp on women that already get everything given to them. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, isn't that just like a generalization though? Because I feel like it's case specific with every person. Like when you say that, it's like you matching one archetype of men with another archetype of women, and then you making that the case for everybody.
Well, I think the world operates on generalities, right? There's a reason why Braille isn't everywhere, because there's not that many blind people, right? So, in general, being a nice guy is going to set you back. Now, are there some girls out there that are, will reward you and give you sex and a blowjob for being a nice guy? Sure. But the reality is, being a nice guy typically always puts you on your back foot. And I think in today's day and age, where women have an enormous amount of leverage in the dating marketplace.
Today's day and age, I ain't gonna lie. Today's day and age is very, very fucked up. I kind of agree with them to some, so you didn't feel me, to some aspect, because today's day and age is like fucked up.
Guys need to kind of go in there with their eyes wide open so they don't put themselves in a bad situation. So generalizations are typically how the world works. Of course, there's always going to be anomalies. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. But I think in general, men need to operate from a position where they're mitigating risk and not investing too much up front. Because we have way more on the line than women do when we get in relationships.
Hey, yes, she is me and I am she. I've dated a red pill podcast guy, and when I tell you, it damn near destroyed me. It is a disastrous thing in our community, and we really need to talk about it. Dating a guy in the beginning, it was nice, he was sweet, he was kind, he was generous, everything like that, but then he started to become aggressive, and that concerned me, because he wasn't physically aggressive, but he was verbally aggressive. The tones that he used with me would actually scare me, and I told him, I laid it out like, I've never been talked to aggressively by a man. I've never been in an abusive relationship. My daddy never even talked to me aggressively. So I'm not going to accept that. And he changed for a little bit, but then he started watching those podcasts, which he then told me that he was watching. I suggested that he stop watching the podcast, delete, curate his own social media, stop watching the podcast and get therapy, because what he would say things like, you got to be aggressive towards women. That's the only way that they gonna respect you. And I'm like, no, like, I respected you when I met you and you were kind and sweet as pie. Aggressiveness is scary for a woman, especially a big man using a negative tone towards a woman. That's terrifying. And he told me I was, I got to delete all these red pill podcasts. He's like, I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was just guys talking. I said, it's different types of podcasts. If they're not uplifting you, if they're telling you nothing but negativity, they're putting poison in your mind. If everything you see and hear is negativity, that's what you're going to see and feel. Negativity. You have to curate what you see in your life, especially being an old person. You need to know better. So I gave him 2 chances, and both chances he failed. And his thing also about dating an attractive woman. When we go out, I put myself on. I look good. I'm beautiful. I'm very charismatic, and that was what he loved about me. But watching the Red Pill podcast, his thing, he would make these weird statements about, oh, I know these men trying to talk to you and blah 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 blah. I know you be going out on dates and blah 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 blah. I'm working 3 hours away from home. And then he would say things like, oh, I know you probably messing with a dude down there, a woman as attractive as you. Like, these red pill podcasts would literally poison him and make him think that I'm a woman that I was not. Okay, ladies, if your men are watching a red pill podcast, break up with them. They need therapy. That's poison. They are experiencing traumatic events on a daily basis, and they don't even know. They're feeding their minds with poison, and they don't even know. Dealing with a man who watches red pill podcasts or even participate in that type of stuff is terrifying. Is dangerous. And the relationship, when I tell you, it will age you mentally, it will age you physically, it will stress you out, and it is not worth it. Leave that man alone. Okay. Oh, and then he later said he was going to therapy. Just leave him alone. Just leave him alone. Y'all have a good day.
Females lie when it comes to what they say they want and don't want in a man. If you want to know what to do, just do the exact opposite of what they say. They say, I don't like a man who talks to a lot of women. Bullshit. They love men who talk to lots of women. It's their favorite thing in the world. Then they say, I don't like a man who's cocky and arrogant. Bullshit. They love cocky and arrogant men. Just look at all their past relationships, all the guys they were recently dating. All cocky, arrogant pricks. Then look at all the nice guys in their friend zones or who go to die in the graveyard unopened in their DMs. Bullshit. Then they say, I like my man to be consistent. Bullshit. They hate consistency. The worst thing you could do is be consistent and predictable when it comes to a woman. It's the fastest way to lose her interest. Then they're going to hear this and say, well, that's not me. That's the immature women you're dealing with. Bullshit. It's all the women. I've dated them all. All ages, races, shapes, sizes, ethnicities, classes, levels of maturity, and whatnot. They're all the same. And they all operate off of this software.
If you want a relationship, a girlfriend, or even a wife, you need to get used to sitting your ass down and doing nothing. You're not going to pursue for anything. You're not going to say, where is this going? You're not going to say, I see a future with you. You're not going to say nothing.
This is the dumbest dating advice that I've ever heard, especially whenever it comes from a person who claims to follow Jesus. Red pill dating coaches all around the world are telling men to lie, manipulate, and confuse women, all for the sake of maintaining attraction. They tell you not to express your feelings, don't give her any clarity at all, and act like you don't care. Even though, if you're being honest with yourself, deep down, you actually do care. It's confusing, it doesn't make any sense, and most importantly, it does not align with the Bible. So please stop watching these garbage videos, lead with clarity, and do not manipulate your girlfriend. Because the right woman does not want to be confused. She wants a man of God.
About a year and a half ago or so, a friend of mine and I were at a bar somewhere, and we ran into this group of guys, and we got to talking and kind of hit it off. And it was like a large group, and they were like, oh, a bunch of us are gonna go back and like chill at the apartment and like listen to music, maybe watch the movies if you guys want to come hang out. And it was a large group, and we were like, sure, that sounds fun, like an after party function. And so the moment we leave and we start like walking back to their apartment, which is a few blocks away, these men start being like weirdly passive aggressively rude to us, just openly, like blatantly to our faces. Like backhanded comments, subtle negging, all this is very like day one introductory to red pill content, right? Neg women and put them down. So literally red flags left and right till it gets to the point where we're like halfway to their apartment, and I turn to my friend, I like take her aside and I'm like, hey, what is going on here? And she's like, I don't know, but this is weird. Like, why are they suddenly such a-holes? And we both agree, like, we feel like we've committed to this. We're almost to the apartment, but if things don't turn around the second we get there, like, we're out because this is horrible. What is wrong with these men? So we finally get to the apartment where they said one of them lives, but then like a bunch of the other guys are just visiting in town, which which is why there's blow-up air mattresses everywhere. But right away, the whole place is decorated like an Airbnb, and the vibes feel very hotel-ish. And my friend picks up on this right away too, and we pull each other into the bathroom where, again, it looks like bathroom essentials at an Airbnb, and we're like, do they even live here? Like, are they lying about even living here? I don't know what's going on. This whole thing is weird. Like, the vibes are weird. We gotta get out of here. But we go back into the kitchen, and I think there's like 6 men or so that were there total, and 5 of them, roughly, all of them except for the one guy talking to us, essentially, are just like sitting down on their phones, like locked in, as if we're not even there. And we're looking at each other like, what are we even doing here? Because there's only one guy still talking to us, and he's just being openly rude to us. And it got to a point where even I wasn't trying to fight back anymore because I just didn't care. And you know that that's a bad sign when I've stopped fighting a man. And at no point would any of them give us a straight answer for whether or not that was an Airbnb they were staying at, which was like super weird. But at a certain point in being like ignored by these men in their own home, we were both kind of like, hey, so what's the move? Like, what are we doing here? Because they had promised us like that there would be food and stuff back at the place. Like, are we ordering pizzas? And they literally looked back at us and they went, I don't know, what are you doing here? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here, actually. I turned to my friend was like, yeah, what are we doing here? Like, yeah, why'd you invite us back here, man? And so I turned to my friend and I was like, well, I was promised food, so I'm gonna be eating all these chips and then we can bounce. But then after having to be around these men for like 60 seconds more, I was like, you know what? Bags of chips are mobile. So I just grabbed the bag of chips off the table and I was like, let's go. And she was like, please and thank you. And we head for the door. And we just announced like, hey, we're gonna go because you guys are all horrible. Goodbye. And we just left. And that's how we left it. And like, I'm not stupid. I recognize that a lot of like the tactics and things that they were playing were taught to them by these like red pill channel influencers. Like, I've seen this before. But the funniest part is that they didn't have like any sort of a follow-up plan, because it's literally never worked before. They don't teach you what to do when the women are finally back at your apartment because they don't expect you to ever get any. And funny enough, I think the only reason we ended up back at the apartment is because one of the boys who like got awkward and anxious and sat on his phone once we got to the apartment was really nice to me when we were at the bar, and I wanted to talk to him more. The other man was unfortunately just someone we had to deal with, but let that be the true lesson. We were actually there for the cute, sweet, quiet one. It was the loud, rude one that scared us away in the end.
So I lost a boyfriend and my brother to red pill content for basically the same reason. It started off with them being like inspired by how empowered I am and how ambitious, and that I want to like do things and tackle things, and I can like plan things out, and I know how to like organize things. Then turned that my personality and all the things that they loved about me suddenly emasculated them, and that I am ruining all of men based on my expectations of them. And the early signs I got of this was I low-key made a joke about the Reddit threads, and they got upset and had some few choice words on it. And I started noticing that that is the bulk of the content that they ingest online. Like, even, like, it's either YouTube with their red pill content, it's like the YouTube of the Bro podcast, or it's just Reddit threads. There's no other social media content, there's no other community. They just got, like, swirled. And my brother did that for, like, as a response to the sibling rivalry that my parents kind of sort of orchestrated. Like, my brother had a hard time with, like, school and stuff, and that just came super easy for me. And as I was getting accomplishments, it was just like, why can't you do accomplishments to him? So he kind of did the red pill thing because he knew that was exactly what I didn't view and agree with. Like, when I found out I couldn't eat meat anymore because my body just literally can't eat it, and I can't have, like, you know, milk anymore because I'm lactose intolerant, he would, on the reverse side, go ham and eat only burgers and only cheese, and he did that for just about everything. So now his red pill content is mixed with Christianity because he knows that I'm not, and I lean to more of like a spiritual, like, native universe kind of thing. And it's so heartbreaking because what they once celebrated and loved about you, they're now like viciously attacking for absolutely no reason. And then on top of that, like, it's like all the things that they start loving and enjoying and believing in are all like attacks against you. Like, I'm a very like verbal, like, I'm not a quiet person. I'll tell you when I'm mad at you. I'll tell you that, you know, what I think that you said is misogynistic and it hurts my feelings. Like, I'm very blunt about that. And so then when they started doing it more and more, it just pissed me off more and more, and then turn around and be like, well, this is my passions, this is my hobbies, and you have to respect and support them, like, just like I respect your stupid little cards, you know, kind of thing. It hurts. It hurts. And it hurts when you're like, what the fuck just happened to you? In like a matter of months, you're a completely different person. And me saying that men need to step up and stop being such D-bags to women, and women need to stop allowing men to be such weaponized incompetence D-bags, is triggering for them and makes them think that women control the world enough already and that we need to be put into our place, and that I should be so grateful for the half-ass shit that I get already. I don't know, there's something like, if that happens to someone that you love and that you cherish, you know, then like, how can you trust any stranger on the street, you know? Like, are you gonna talk to them and, you know, they're gonna transform into some fucking person that you don't even recognize in a span of a couple of months because they're such a weak, shallow person that they need to cling on to anything that attacks the very thing that makes them feel threatened and emasculated?
What is going on with the way men are talking to women these days? Like, let me talk about 3 instances where men are saying the craziest things off rip at women in the clubs. This man walked up to me. We were chit-chatting, small talk. Eventually he asked, "What are you doing after this?" And I said, "I'm going home." It was like 3 a.m. I go home after the club. He seemed surprised when I said that I'm going home. So I asked him why, like, where are you going? And he goes, if I'm lucky, I'm having sex tonight. Okay. What does that got to do with me? Mind you, this is my first impression of you. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, best of luck tonight. Bye. Like, what makes you think I'm going to be the one that you have sex with tonight? At that point, I'm like, I'm over this lap. I go find my friend. She's talking to this guy for like an extensive time. I ask her, how did it go? She's like, oh, it was horrible. It was horribly wrong. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? She goes, he said he doesn't care what job his girl has. Mind you, my friend is a doctor. So apparently when he found that out, the words that followed were, I don't care what my woman does for work. All I care about is what her is like. These are the things that men are saying to the women in the club. To top it all off, on my way out the door, going home, mind you, this was like 3:30 a.m. at this point. I'm walking out the door, and on my way out, some guy grabs onto me, and he goes, "Are you gonna go out with me?" Unhand me. What makes you think that that would work on me? As I'm exiting the club, you grab onto me and you just shout at me, "Are you going out with me?" Y'all, I don't know what is going on. I don't think it used to be like this. What happened to hi, how are you? Good evening. Good morning. What is going on? I don't know, y'all.
My husband's a big red pill. We've been married for 11 years, and I just recently started watching you and getting into what you've been saying, and I agree with a lot of aspects that you say. Mm-hmm. But I had a question because I hadn't really seen you speak about this, but as far as like when you decide to have kids, I was kind of curious as far as like, because I know the woman is supposed to be the wife, take care of the kids, clean, like that's like one of the primary jobs that she has as a wife and a mom. Mm-hmm. And I was curious to know if like you would be doing some of those things as far as like, obviously the wife would be doing majority, but would you be like doing diapers and maybe taking care of the kids a little bit on the side? Like, I was just curious your thought process on that.
Me personally, like would I do it, or are you just asking in general should they do it?
Yeah, like would you like change a poopy diaper or?
No, I ain't doing it. Me personally, I ain't doing it, but you know that's why I'm real big on I think men should be providers and take care of their wife and girl. I mean, obviously if she's sick and I got to do it, you know, every now and then it is what it is. But in general, nah.
Talk to the guys about this. I need to understand what's going on. So I go to McDonald's to get some food and I see 2 kids around middle school age. Honestly, I don't know how old kids are if you're under 18. Y'all all look the same age if you're a teenager. So I'm trying to get some food and these 2 kids are slapboxing each other, you know, just whatever. They're having fun. I don't really care. So I order my food and I'm waiting for it. And I see one of the workers carrying a bunch of food in her hands and is going to deliver it to some people waiting outside of the drive-thru. So I see her holding all that and I'm like, oh, let me go get the door. So I get the door, I hold it open for her. And then I come back inside and I sit down. I'm waiting for my food. I'm on my phone. And I hear the 2 boys whispering each other and laughing. And they're saying some shit like, oh, women can't open doors for themselves. It's 2 little boys talking like they listen to Red Pill podcasts. That sounds so embarrassing even to hear them.
Oh, don't get butthurt, big dog. They just called you a simp and they was joking, and now all of a sudden he want to do a whole video about how these two young guys are acting like goons and they sound like they listen to Red Pill podcast. Come on, dog. Get out of your feelings. You caught the bad end of the joke and now you emotional. First you don't care, now you concerned. Let's continue, man.
Talking like that. And it just shows immaturity, you know? The young lady who I opened the door for, she looked like she was about 70 pounds carrying 30 pounds of food. I don't understand where
30 pounds of food? You know how much 30 pounds of food is?
That's coming.
70 pounds? Come on, family. You're not... These guys are pandering to women, and I'm sure they were in his comments like, I can't believe it. Oh my God, it's the Red Pill's part.
But it has to be coming from the guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, it has to be. Okay.
I don't know if they're hearing this in school also with their friends, but it's just plain weird. But that's not even...
Yo, listen, y'all. Y'all gotta stop blaming the Red Pill for every single thing that you're not necessarily comfortable with. First of all, I don't see anything wrong. He's saying that they turned into goons, but they cracked a joke on you. First of all, I think it's healthy to slap box. That's what we did when we was younger. Secondly, they called you a simp because you opened up the door. And third, I'm not even sure that I can say that they was wrong. I can't say that they was wrong. If that's her job and that's what she wanted to do, respectfully, then let her do her job.
So my husband actually interviewed these Red Pill guys on their podcast one time, and I won't mention their names because who the fuck even cares. But it was so funny because he actually called them out on their shit and their like stupid fucking beliefs and how they say that they're helping men when actually what they say is like really detrimental and damaging, especially to young impressionable men who are getting their intellectual stimulation more so from podcasts than books, literature, news, or sports. Because he went at them, the Red Pill guys, like fans, were attacking him afterwards, found pictures of us, and because I'm like objectively attractive, you know, they were saying that we couldn't possibly have got together in a natural kind of way or like in the wild, like it must have been an arranged marriage. Like that's where that whole arranged marriage rumor started, or just like making up all sorts of stuff when it wasn't even true. And I can tell you, like, if you're a young guy listening to this, you don't have to be super tall, you don't have to be tall, you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be spending hours at the gym. He wasn't at the peak of his career when we got together at all. He was really like in the early stages. So it just goes to show you that like that narrative is really dangerous. And I don't mean to laugh, but I'm just laughing because like it just like broke their brain trying to understand like someone that they consider pretty or attractive could be with someone that respects women and likes women and like doesn't believe in their beliefs. Like it just like broke their brain. So it just goes to show you that you can actually be nice, a gentleman, like do acts of service and buy gifts and do all this stuff for your girl and have like a partnership really with mutual respect. And if he doesn't like something, he pushes back on me, and if I don't like something, of course you guys know I push back. And like their normal healthy relationships not like that. So I'm really glad that adolescence is like opening this like productive, healthy, constructive discussion, because the statistics are really scary for what young men are experiencing, and I hope that they do get more positive role models that they need, especially in schools and online. And yeah, it's just funny.
If she's not good looking and she can't perform what I want to perform, then she's not.
Oh dear, where do we begin with this one? I'm trying to take myself back to the time when I was 15 years old and thinking about what my answer would be if someone asked me what I would want in a woman. Now, I know things change and people evolve, but when I was in secondary school, it was pretty much about, can I be with the prettiest girl in my year? Which, as we know, is also subjective to what we prefer in terms of looks. But the answers that these kids give are following the narrative of that red pill type of influence. Because let's be serious, at the age of 15, your partner is not going to be cooking for you. At the age of 15, when you shouldn't have had sex, she's not going to perform the way you want her to perform. I'd also be curious to understand how a 15-year-old knows exactly how he would want his partner to perform. One of the kids also in this video says that she needs to be quiet and not too loud. And his answer for this is because if he's bringing a woman back to his apartment, she can't be too loud. Is he really going to bring a woman back to his apartment? Is he going to have his own apartment that early in life? Now, of course, the point isn't to debate or argue with teenagers. The point is to raise awareness for how the mindsets of young people are starting to form. At the age of 15, I think the most responsible thing I was doing was probably my homework. And if I wanted to have a girlfriend at school, I didn't care less if she cooked. And the only time I was interested in how she was performing was during drama GCSEs. But also, I didn't have a girlfriend when I was 15. Maybe if I was interested in how good she was as a cook, I might have found someone.
Women have to be very, very careful about engaging in conversations with that storyline around softness and femininity, wanting to be led. I think there's so much information and just so many tropes out there about hyper femininity or hyper independence or submission and wanting to be led. And men are just literally taking little pieces of these different online conversations and using them as lures to try to attract or secure women. You have to be savvy enough to realize when you're being led down the yellow brick road, so to speak. First, they'll give you some runway. They'll give you enough time to get comfortable and talk and share your story. And while you do that, they're mining you for information and little ondits and nuggets that they can then package and put together in a way that will be appealing to you. And it's all just a gag as they shoot their proverbial shot to see if you're gonna bite the bait. But the thing about a feminine woman, in my humble opinion, it's not about a woman's need to relax all the time, although that is, some would push, oh, well, you know, women need to relax and this and that. Absolutely, women need to relax. But the piece that you're missing is a woman can't relax. A truly feminine woman can't relax if she doesn't feel safe, if the man that she's with or her partner is not so secure and so indicative of strength that she feels safe enough to let her guard down. You can't do that just because someone says something, unless you're kidding yourself. And that's what's so interesting about people who take these little bits of red pill nonsense and try to repackage them into something. It's literally like dangling bait in front of you. And a woman who knows herself and understands what femininity is and softness and being a woman and all that is not going to fall for that sort of thing. The only woman who's going to fall for that narrative is a girl who doesn't necessarily know her own mind and is still amenable or able to be manipulated. Because like recently when this happened to me, I just was like, does this person really think I'm stupid and I can't tell what he's doing? But the gag is, yes, he did. And I can't even get mad about it. You know, I'm not going to get mad at somebody shooting their shot, even though it's like, seems like Stevie Wonder could see you're not my type, but okay. And by the way, my type doesn't have anything to do with anything physical. This person in particular was not my type because he was too wishy-washy. I like for a man to be very decisive. I want you to be able to make decisions. I don't want you to have difficulty articulating what's on your mind, because from my perspective, if you have trouble articulating your thoughts, that means you're trying to either game the system or you're not smart enough to know what to say, or there's some insecurity there that's preventing you from just opening your mouth and stating your truth. None of which is attractive to me. But it is very important to be aware that the information that you get on the internet is available to everybody. And unlike me, who's pushing narratives in the hopes that we can all live well, there's a lot of people out here who are grabbing these little bits of information and these narratives and repackaging them and slicing and dicing and putting these things together and using them as bait. So you need to be careful about that. And definitely as a woman, I personally don't think you should need a man to tell you about softness. If you do, you need to do some inner work, because if you're relying on a man or allowing a man to tell you what it means to be a woman, you got some work to do. And it ain't a little, okay? So watch out for these shysters, because they're out there. Yeah.
There is a big problem happening with a lot of men right now. Most of us, including myself, did not see this problem coming. And even when we did not take it seriously enough. One of the most disconcerting themes in the show Adolescence is its focus on the influence red pill culture has had on teenage boys. The term comes from The Matrix, where taking the red pill means waking up to a harsh, uncomfortable truth instead of staying in a comforting illusion. In the modern world, red pill culture has become a philosophy around men who believe society has lied to them about women, relationships, and male identity. Basically, the idea is that men are often taught to be overly agreeable, emotionally vulnerable, or self-sacrificing in ways that actually hurt them in dating and in life. In reality, the red pill community argues, 80% of women want to be with the top 20% of men, who are in that top 20% because of their looks, status, confidence, and money. The remaining 80% of men are often overlooked, friend-zoned, or not seen as attractive partners, especially in the age of online dating and social media, where comparison is constant and perceived options are endless. Some aspects of this philosophy, at least ostensibly, focus on helping men build confidence, set boundaries, and stop being people pleasers, while other parts have veered into anger, resentment, and broad generalizations about women, promoting a kind of us versus them mentality that quickly becomes excessively toxic. While red pill culture raises real issues like loneliness, rejection, and the pain of feeling unseen among men, too often it answers those issues with hostility instead of healing. For the purposes of this video, I'm less interested in what's happening to highly impressionable teenage boys and more interested in the adult culture that is influencing them in the first place. The insecurity, bitterness, and disillusionment seen in the barely teen boys in the show is echoed in what's going on with an ever-growing number of adult men in the world today.
I was thinking about this last night, but genuinely, what is the end goal for young men who consume red pill content? And I'm being dead ass. It might be because I don't have a really true understanding of the point of red pill content or the reason why they're watching red pill content, but what I am gathering is that the reason why a lot of young men flock to red pill content is because they feel undesirable. They see their male peers getting into relationships, they see their female peers not wanting them, they feel like ugly, they feel insecure, they feel like they can't get any women, so they turn to red pill content in order to get said women. Then the red pill content does nothing but give them terrible advice, tells them to treat women badly, tells them to be a bad person, and then the women are saying, hey, we do not like people who consume red pill content. Be a real person, be an actual person, treat women like people. But then these young men are just being reinforced by the red pill content, treating women terribly, ending up hating women, and now they're at a point where they started watching this content in order to get women and feel better about themselves, but now they're at a place where they feel terrible about themselves and terrible about women, and then the women don't want them because they're bad people consuming red pill content. So genuinely, what is the end goal? What's supposed to happen when you start consuming red pill content?
Can you explain to me what's going on really quick? Because a man taking up for a woman or taking up for women or speaking positively about women is not pandering. And I just find it crazy that a man can speak up for women and get attacked by other men and constantly being called a panderer for doing what he's supposed to do as a man. That's what you're supposed to do as a man, is protect women. That's literally what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's in person or on the internet. So calling men out their name for doing what they're supposed to do is absolutely wild to me. And that only further shows me how much the red pill content has literally consumed the men. Like, not all of them, but a vast majority, especially the younger ones, because their minds are so impressionable. And that's really the poison that's been affecting a lot of us, or a lot of them, the younger men, because literally a lot of these words y'all didn't even know prior to 2020. Pandering, y'all did not learn that. I've never heard that word until red pill content started to become a thing in 2020. And y'all definitely didn't know words like accountability, or what was the word? Submissive. That's the word. That's definitely the word that y'all did not know before 2020, because submissive is a word that's in the Bible. Y'all don't even read the Bible, because if you read the Bible, you would know that submission is in the Bible for both partners. Hello. But I just have to tell you, if you are a man and you are on this app and you see a man taking up for women and you feel the need to comment and say something nasty to him and call him a panderer or say that he's pandering to women or whatever the case, please unfollow and block me, because your brain has been fried and overly consumed with red pill content, and I don't want to be associated with you. I don't want your follow. I don't want your comment. I don't want anything, because you are literally below uneducated.
One thing about me that will never fail, I can spot a red pill content consumer from a mile away. I just got off the phone with this 38-year-old man. I met him at some type of event or whatever. He all right, nothing too serious. He got a kid. Y'all already know how I feel about men with kids. Not serious for me at all whatsoever. I'm just bored right now. He wants to get on the phone. I said, cool, let's talk on the phone. No problem. Immediately upon getting on the phone, yeah, you might be one of those girls that love to hang out with your friends. I'm like, is hanging out with your friends a problem? Because I could see you have a lot of friends, because when you were out, you were surrounded by guys. He was like, nah, but if I constantly ask you, like, are you free? And you like, nah, I gotta hang out with my friends. I'm gonna take that as a sign, like, you don't want to be with me, you don't want to hang out. So I'm done asking you. I'm done, you know, da da da. And then eventually, after this conversation, after he was done with his rant, I was like, okay, how does this apply to me? You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of just brought this up out of nowhere, and nobody started this conversation except you. So I said, I know, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, we're probably in two totally different spaces right now. I'm 24, you're 38. So maybe you're not into the whole getting to know you questions. Let me get to know you questions. You want to get down to the nitty gritty so you can know if you want to be here or not. So to answer your question, no, but do you want to tell me more about yourself? And then he proceeded to do the, oh, well, I think you're the kind of girl that's like, y'all always guess, and you always guess wrong. You always guess wrong. So how about you shut up and don't date? Because right now you take in too much red pill content. You're bitter about your last relationship, and you're getting on my nerves. You're too fucking old to be acting like that. And he worked at a barbecue place. Nigga, please.
Andrew Tate was taken out by the woke cultists because he offered men a more empowering narrative. The thing is, that's funny to me, is that first of all, you're very old and you have this odd opinion, but for two, Andrew Tate was using men. Attack where they are unprepared and appear where you are not expected. He saw the demographic that was weak and that would support him. He used all those guys to push his narrative, to push his content to become famous. That's what men don't understand, is that the men use each other. The men don't actually support each other. Because if men actually came on here with like balanced takes, the men will call them a simp. If the men actually came on here and started trying to influence men about not being violent and maybe not watching porn, not having schmecks, they would be a simp and weak. And the cult would not follow them. So what Andrew Tate did was a smart business move to get a bag. And you don't even see it like that. Especially when there was a wave of like red pill content creators, like the fresh and fit dudes. No substance, no facts, just feelings. Because they knew that there was a group of dudes they could manipulate. Because that's what men do. Men try to create different cults, different sectors of society all the time so that they can end up on the top. It's a hierarchy system, and you're very old. You should know this. He played y'all. So actually, bravo to him. I'm glad he got a bag. Because it's so easy to make red pill content consumers pay the fuck up. Men are easily triggered. Men are easily manipulated. Men are easily controlled. Look at the world. You're one of them.
Before the untimely demise of this app, I would like to continue to crunch out some of my golden content that is usually geared towards women on the subject of tips, tricks, and safety precautions you can take in order to avoid red pill men in our societies. If you go on my page, I have plenty other videos that cover topics like these. My TikTok page has basically just become a page to help advocate for women that have gone through experiences like this with these types of violent men. And my page is also helping educate young women to avoid red pill men like this in our societies and to help us understand the dangers of rape culture that are running rampant in male spaces. The first thing I want to say in this video that I really want all women to hear is that men that pretend to like you solely for the purpose of obtaining sex from you are sexual predators. They have the same mindsets of rapists, and that is a form of sexual coercion. This is unfortunately a very common experience that men kind of put up this facade. They pretend to want to be in a relationship with you for a whatever amount of period of time they have to in order to obtain sex from you. And that is an extremely violent, manipulative way to coerce you into having sex with them. And I want to talk about this behavior because I don't think we really take it seriously enough. I don't think we take men's manipulative mental and emotional abuse serious enough anyways, but that's a whole other topic. Because as someone that has experienced both, I think that mental and emotional abuse is just as violent as physical. Because as a man, you are bending the terms of consent. You are lying to someone in order for them to give in and trust you. Additionally, men in committed relationships that feel extremely entitled to your body and force you to do sexual acts with them, make you perform sexual labor because they feel so entitled to have it whenever they want because you're committed to them, are also sexual predators. That is a form of sexual assault. Thirdly, the men that some of us speak to during these talking stages that inappropriately bring up sex during normal conversations when it's completely inappropriate to do so, when the conversation is normal and it is absolutely unnecessary to be bringing up the topic. are also predatory and have no respect for you whatsoever. I actually just recently saw a video of a girl that went through this experience where she was trying to have normal conversations with a man during the beginning stages of a relationship, and he kept making it sexual. And my advice to her was always test a man very early on in the beginning stages of getting to know them. They will show you who they are very early on if you give them opportunities to expose themselves. Well, how can we test them? What do you mean by test them? Establish a very clear boundary. It doesn't have to be a big one, it could be a small boundary, but watch how they treat that boundary. They will either completely disregard it and see how much they can get away with that boundary, or they will very respectfully honor that boundary that you put. Because at the end of the day, all of these abusive, manipulative men are all the same. They all use the same tactics. In the beginning, they will always try to see how much disrespect you will allow them to get away with. And that's why we say if he disrespects you once and you stay and you let him, that's only showing him how low the bar is that he can go, and you bet that he will always try to test how much lower you will let it get. All of this to say, please try to avoid these types of men at all costs. Try to leave these situations as swiftly and safely if possible.
Any of the dating podcasts that I've seen, it's a very common answer to say that they want to
name another
woman.
dating podcast.
And here's the other thing to dive into this.
Name another dating podcast.
Here's the other thing
though.
to dive into this.
Well, you got to name another dating podcast.
Okay, Fresh and Fit. It happens there all the
Red
time.
Pill content. Exactly, as I said.
Okay, so when you're talking about a dating podcast, what do you mean by that?
Something a little less, I don't know, misogynistic, perhaps.
What does that mean, though?
I've already explained it to you and defined it.
If any man has a dating podcast, is it Red Pill or
I have a dating
misogynistic?
podcast and it's not misogynistic.
I see. And let me ask you a question. What kind of questions do you ask on your dating podcast?
I ask them what are their priorities in a man. I ask them, do you have advice for men in
And
dating?
how many men have you had on?
Zero. It's called Women on Men.
Oh, I see. So you're a misandrist?
Absolutely not.
Oh dear. Where do we begin with this one? It's actually quite amusing watching someone crumble under the pressure of realizing that these are the hard-hitting questions that need to be pushed back on him to show the contradictions that he always has. It was probably the easiest prediction ever that when he was asked to name another podcast that asks questions about submissive women, he jumps to Fresh and Fit. Unironically, the same show he's been on, where he went actually on stage with a lot of these men, where he was actually on the receiving end of toxic masculinity as well, but I digress. And then when trying to gain more information about the podcast and realizing that probably more suitable questions were being asked towards women, jumping to the fact that because men are not asked on this, it's misandrist. And this, unfortunately, is what the Red Pill community pushes, this idea that anything that doesn't involve maybe men being perceived in a good light, not being asked certain questions or being involved, we jump to hating men as misandry. And this is why a lot of people don't take the aspects of misandry seriously in conversations, because when we're talking about misogyny and how women are being unalived and SA'd at alarming rates, and then men want to talk about misandry by associating it with, oh, you don't talk to men on your podcast, you must be a misandrist. Can you see how it doesn't balance out at all? Not to mention that he then goes on to say, I haven't even seen any of your podcasts. I can just ask you your opinions and then critique it myself, which again is just coming from a point of ignorance. The main difference, I suppose, between healthy podcasts on relationships and unhealthy or misogynistic versus not misogynistic is one where you ask women questions, whereas the other is when you tell women what it should be like. What would you like in a relationship dynamic versus you should be submissive?
You ever notice that the rise of male loneliness is happening at the same exact time that dudes like Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan are being treated like prophets? No? Is that just me? Let's talk about it. Because there is a male loneliness epidemic. In 2021, Pew Research found that 63% of young men are single. That's double the rate for women. And not only are they single, they also report having higher levels of depression, social isolation, and anxiety. And while that's happening, the most popular male role models being shoved in their faces are guys telling them emotions are weakness, empathy is beta, and women are basically NPCs. It's no coincidence. And instead of being encouraged to form real friendships, be vulnerable, or build community, they're being told the key to fulfillment is lifting weights, getting rich, and dominating women. But guess what? That doesn't solve loneliness. It just masks it with ego and rage. And here's the kicker. Men who do value connection and emotional openness, they're doing better. They tend to have stronger relationships, better mental health, and more stability in life overall. There's data to back that up as well. Emotional intelligence, not alpha dominance, is what correlates with long-term relationship satisfaction. So yeah, maybe it's not women's standards or feminism ruining men. Maybe it's the fact that a whole generation of guys got fed a steady diet of toxic masculinity and podcast bro nonsense. And now they're confused why they feel so alone. Think about it. And if you're a guy that's feeling this way, it's not weakness to want connection, it's human.
What's your body count?
I have a body count of 6.
3.
16.
2.
44.
I don't even keep track. I don't know.
Over 100.
Listen, gentlemen never kiss and tell.
Why is it okay for you to go sleep around with everyone
else? Because it's harder for me.
Obviously not. Because, I mean, I got 3 and you got 44. And even if it is easier or harder for me, it doesn't matter. If I came up to you and told you, hey, I got like 40 to 50 bodies, you'd be like, hell no, she's ran through. But your just ass ran through.
Exactly.
But nobody says anything.
No, he's not ran through. He's the one running through.
You're telling me you can go around and bust in 44 females, but I can't go around and let 44 men bust in me.
Because I'm dominating them, you're being dominated.
What if I choose to dominate them?
That's not how male and female work.
This red pill nonsense is getting so bad to the point where other men are hating on other men because they love their wives and their girlfriends. The amount of comments I get from men being angry at other men for posting their girlfriends or saying that I cook for my girlfriend and I make her happy is crazy. Like, they are literally going to be completely and utterly alone and blame everyone else but themselves for it. They're hateful towards the women in their life and women online, and they're also hateful towards men that aren't hateful towards women. And then when they end up shooting themselves in the back of the head by the time they're 35, the male loneliness epidemic is going to be blamed on women. Like, y'all are just miserable. Not even other men can help you. Oh my God, like red pill men, that's like a whole other category of men, and I need them to just like stop.
Who controls access to sex, men or women?
Women. Yeah, women, obviously.
Whenever these self-declared alpha men either state that women control access to sex or else they manipulate a group of teenage girls into saying it for them, I'm always tempted to poke fun at them. Because if they are the natural-born leaders, decision-makers, heads of households that they believe themselves to be, and if sex and procreation are truly what divide and delineate the categories of men and women, why would they not want to declare authority over that realm too?
If we want to see hookup culture stop, have anyone to blame but yourselves?
And then I'm reminded that they're being disingenuous. This is purely strategic. They're assigning women this power simply so that they can say that women use it poorly. To guilt them, to shame them, to get what they want from them anyway, but make them think that it was their choice all along. Because there's nothing more alpha than misogynist head games, lies, and misdirection.
Emily, I can't help you carry groceries because it's implying that women are not strong enough to carry all the groceries. I believe in women too much to help you carry these. I'm gonna need you to put all these groceries in the fridge as well. I'm not gonna mansplain how to, organize a fridge. You're way too smart and strong for that. So if you could just put all this away, I'm gonna go play League. See you later.
Where are all the women who lost their male partners to red pill content? Front and center, please. Because I want to know what happened. I want to know how he started off when y'all got together and how red pill content changed him and how the partnership ended. What did that look like? And I also want to know, how did it feel to lose somebody you thought you knew to something as trivial and shallow as red pill content?
I told them, you're an average woman. Why don't you want an average man? And they literally give me this look like, well, I want better. And it's because we live in a society now where women are kind of put on a pedestal regardless of how poorly they behave, no matter how fat they are, no matter how crass they are, no matter how rude they are, because we have all these social conventions, like I was saying before, that allows women to behave poorly with zero consequence.
You're being lied to. It doesn't matter if she's your girlfriend or wife. She will cheat on you with somebody more successful. Fear women. Fear. Fear, 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 and then come to me so I can take that fear away and buy my course. She's not yours. It's just your turn. They don't know how to love. Listen to someone who's single like me so I can give you advice on how to not be single. I choose to be single. It's my choice. I choose to be single. Share my insecurities with me. They will cheat, and you need to know that. Ruin all your relationships and buy my course in the bio. Women only care about money. Trust me, I'm single with a lot of money. I know what I'm talking about. Course in the bio.
For was on FaceTime with a chick and she says her love language is words of affirmations. Should I take that serious? I think she's trying to see if I fall for it. You're a cynic. Hassan, you're a cynic. You're pessimistic and you're cynical. You should get therapy for that. You're a very negative person. You think everybody's out to get you. You don't trust people. I'm not telling you to trust people with your life, but everybody ain't trying to fucking get one over on you, bro. Some women just like you and they want to hear sweet things from you, but you going into it listening to all these red pill shit thinking that the is the boogeyman and she just gonna get you if y'all be fumbling in the bag. The woman really telling you the keys to her motherfucking soul. Even if she wanted to manipulate you, why would she tell you a lie so you can be in her fucking presence, annoying her by doing all the wrong shit? You gotta start thinking. Stop listening to this red pill stupid shit. Think about this, man. Think about this. Use your mind, bro. Hassan, let's think for a second. Even if the woman wanted to manipulate you and take advantage of you, why would she tell you something that was a lie or that wasn't true, right? So you can waste your time and waste her time and she could be around you annoyed and you saying all the wrong shit and doing all the wrong shit and she's getting annoyed because she can't get what she wants from you. Think, bro.
Not many people like to talk about this, but I genuinely feel like red pill is the most stupidest thing out here. Like, just because you can't get any girls doesn't mean you gotta resort to hating women and end up being a misogynist. Like, that shit makes no sense. Like, are you just trying to validate your own feelings by saying that, oh, you're not the problem and that they are? Like, bro, that is the most pussiest shit that you could possibly do. And if you ever are into red pill, bro, you're specifically the problem. Because now you're giving a whole toxic narrative around social media and constantly pushing it onto other people in real life. And this is why this shit is so corrupt. Because now people can't trust each other and they resort to toxicity because they feel like it's the only way to have a relationship. Like, imagine telling yourself, I hate women. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's some weird ass shit. Like, you do realize that your mother gave birth to you, right? You wouldn't be here because of her? What the fuck? Or just because a girl hurt you that badly doesn't mean that you gotta put it out onto other girls, thinking that they're gonna be the same way like that one girl that did you wrong. Just because you play this bad boy persona doesn't mean you're gonna attract more girls. Like, that's gonna grotesque your attraction to them even more, which keeps you at a constant cycle of you thinking that they're the problem and you're not. When in reality, you're just absolutely fucking delusional.
So it truly seems like nobody understands what I meant when I said red pilled. I wasn't talking about politics. I'm talking about it in regards to the manosphere. It started as a Matrix reference, like you take the red pill and suddenly you see the truth. But in the manosphere, which is what I'm talking about, that truth is usually this twisted belief that feminism has ruined everything and that the men are the real victims in society. Red pill guys often think women manipulate them, that feminism is evil, and that being a real man means dominating others and not caring about anybody else. So it's truly a gateway into toxic ideas like alpha male obsession, incel culture, and blaming everything on women for what's wrong in their life. So yeah, when someone says that they've been red-pilled, it's usually not a good thing. It's not enlightenment, it's just misogyny dressed up like a personality.
The red pill tells you how to get the girl, but not how to keep her. They'll say things like, in order to get a girl, you need to be 6 feet tall, make 6 figures, and have a six-pack. They'll talk about setting up your life so you can become a high-value man. They discuss women being desirable so long as they're young, have beauty, and have a low body count. Which, by the way, none of these indicate how viable you guys are as partners. I personally would hate to date a Miami Instagram model with millions of followers because we have very little in common. Finally, they'll talk about deal breakers and surefire ways to lose a woman, like crying in front of her. But I have yet to hear them talk about actually cultivating and building a deep relationship with someone once you actually do get the girl. They don't talk about defining boundaries except for insanely insecure takes like she can't have male friends or even she can't go on girls' nights out. Then even claim stuff like the man in the relationship should be able to sleep with multiple women. They don't talk about how to communicate effectively, especially when there's disagreements. Instead, they seem to believe that the man is always right, and even if you come to a compromise, that's somehow showing a sign of weakness. They don't talk about growing together and having independent goals from one another that you can complement each other on. Instead, they talk about women as if there's some sort of accessory or prize that you get once you've made it to the top. You should want to be in a relationship with someone who's your equal, someone who you share values with. You're on the same team. You need to get rid of this idea that it's a zero-sum game and somehow if women are winning, men are losing and vice versa.
Asterisk. So there you have it, the uncomfortable truth about how red pill content is actually sabotaging the relationships it claims to improve. We've seen how this isn't just about dating, it's affecting friendships, family relationships, and honestly, men's ability to connect with women as actual human beings. Look, I get it. A lot of guys are genuinely struggling out there. They're looking for answers, for confidence, for direction. And when you're in a vulnerable place, content that promises you the secret to understanding women or becoming an alpha can feel like a lifeline. But as we've discussed today, it's often leading men further away from genuine connection, not closer to it. The real tragedy here is that many of these guys had good relationships before diving into this content. They had female friends who cared about them, partners who loved them, sisters and mothers who supported them. But somewhere along the way, they started seeing these women through the lens of red pill ideology instead of just seeing them as people. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Real confidence doesn't come from trying to manipulate or game women. Real masculinity isn't about domination or seeing relationships as a battlefield. And real self-improvement? It makes you better to be around, not worse. If you're watching this and recognizing yourself in some of these patterns, it's not too late. You can choose to step back, reconnect with the people you've pushed away, and work on genuine self-development that actually makes you a better partner, friend, and person. And if you're watching this because you're worried about someone in your life who's gone down this rabbit hole, just know that change is possible, but it has to come from them. What are your thoughts on this? Have you seen this playing out in your own life or social circle? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this. If this video resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real talk about relationships, personal growth, and navigating modern dating without the toxic nonsense. And hey, share this with someone who might need to hear it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. ****.